Sure are.
Greetings, human life forms. Welcome to another edition of TheOPodcast, joined by none other than the vice president of the school newspaper at Buff State University. It is Thomas Bailey right below me. Say hello.
Hi.
All right, so week 15 just wrapped up. Thomas, you went 10-6 last week for an overall of 17-13. And I went 13-3 last week for an overall season record of 133-88 on the year so far for me. We got a whole slate of games this week. I am excited, and we are going to get right into it. As you can see, this is my overall. And for the Thursday game, I'll let the thing play out. There we go. We got Thursday night football prime time here. We got the 7-7 Saints traveling into LA to take on the 7-7 Rams. Thomas, we can start with you talking about this one.
This is a massive game for both teams. They're both 7-7 headed into this one. The Saints are not in the playoffs right now. The Bucs lead the division. The Rams have that final wild card spot. So with Minnesota, with Green Bay, with all these other teams right there, it'd be lovely to win this one if you're New Orleans, especially to get back in there. So really, either way, this is a big game for whichever team wins this. It's just right now I can't trust that Saints offense. I mean, like they did just win against the Giants, but I mean it is the Giants defense. I mean like the pass defense isn't really the greatest in New York. So like you got a really good team this week when you play in the Rams. The Rams are on a bit of a hot streak too. Their only loss of late is to the Ravens in overtime, nonetheless. So give me the Rams to win this one.
Yeah,
I
I
don't say
agree with you.
specifically, but I think yeah.
I'm
Go
also
ahead.
gonna go. Sorry, this delay thing is not working out so far. Anyways, I'm also gonna go Rams here over the Saints for reasons that you just said. I feel like the Rams are on a bit of a hot streak right now, even though they did get a little bit of a scare from the Commanders near the end of that game, with Jacoby Brissett going into the game. But they are just more of a consistent team right now. And the Saints, sure, they got the same record and everything. They just beat up on a Giants team. They crushed the Tommy DeVito legend that was brewing over there in East
Or
Rutherford, New
Mateo.
Jersey, over there. Um, but yeah, the Saints, they're just a very inconsistent team. They're a very up and down team. 1 week, Carr's putting up solid numbers. The next week, the fans are calling for his head. So you can never really trust that offense. So I'm also going to go with the Rams here. So we both agree on that one. As you can see here, if you give me a second here, you can see my score. It'll pop up in just a moment. I got 24-17. I got the Rams there, and we're gonna move right along to the
I
Saturday
like that
games.
prediction.
We got two of
I
them this
like it.
week, and it is going to start off with the lovely 8-6 Cincinnati Bengals at the 7-7 Pittsburgh Steelers. As you can see, this is obviously a huge game. The Bengals right now, if the season ended today, which obviously it doesn't, the Bengals have the number 6 seed in the AFC, and the Steelers do not have a playoff spot right now. They are fighting for their playoff lives, but so are the Bengals. Nobody's clinched anything yet in this matchup here. And it's going to be a very interesting game. It doesn't look like Kenny Pickett is going to be playing again for the Steelers this week. It looks like Mason Rudolph is going to get the start over Mitchell Trubisky this week,
Oh man,
which the
don't tell me
Steelers are
that.
hoping to God that it's going to get their offense moving a little bit. And going against the Bengals team, coming off a huge win against the Minnesota Vikings to keep their playoff hopes alive. And that win, for now, got them a playoff spot. So we'll see if they can hold on to it or not here. And me looking at this game, Thomas, you mentioned something last week about the Steelers never have a losing record under Mike Tomlin. It does not happen. It is something that has never happened under Mike Tomlin with the Steelers. And
Don't
the
tell me.
Bengals
Don't tell me you're picking the Steelers here.
and the Bengals, they are coming off a game which was a little bit more of a shaky game, wasn't as much of a decisive win. The Vikings kind of collapsed late in that game. And T. Higgins, man, that touchdown was unbelievable that he had. But hey, the Bengals more than likely will not have Jamar Chase for this game. And considering how much more that game meant to Jake Browning last week against the Vikings because obviously he used to be on the Vikings. The Vikings got rid of him. So that game was a lot more personal to him. So you'd think he'd probably have his best game there. And you can make an argument that could have been Jake Browning's worst game yet. So it seems like it might be trending in a downward direction here for the Bengals. And no Jamar Chase either is going to be a huge loss for Cincy. And not to mention they don't have DJ Reader for the rest of the season either. So give me the Steelers in a huge upset here to shake up the AFC a little bit. Steelers will never have that losing record, and this is where they're going to get that win to get them in that winning record.
If I had to, you know what? I agree in a lot of senses here. I think, last week the Vikings showed just how to beat Jake Browning and this Bengals team for 3.5 quarters. They showed exactly what they had to do. So I think if Pittsburgh can piggyback off that, look at the tape, film, whatever, and just kind of like base their game off that, I feel like there's a good chance the Steelers defense shuts down that Bengals offense. It's just I can't trust Mason Rudolph in a game like this. This is such a pivotal game for both sides here. This is a game where, like, if Pittsburgh loses, they're done. They're literally going to finish fourth in the AFC North no matter what, because since he would be up to 9 wins, and the best Pittsburgh could do is 9 wins, but Cincinnati's won both games if they win this one. And so, like, with their season basically on the line here, I think Mike Tomlin knows that. I think this is eerily similar to last season in the NHL with the Pittsburgh Penguins, where the Penguins have never missed the playoffs under their head coach, Mike Sullivan. Ironically, same first name, Mike, but honestly, though, I think that this is a similar thing right there. It was crowded last year in the NHL and the Eastern Conference. It's crowded right now in the AFC. I don't see Pittsburgh finding a way to win this one. I think I have to kind of do the duality here a little bit. I think Cincinnati gets the job done here on the road.
All right. Do you got a score for us here or no?
If I had to go with a score prediction, I don't think this one's going to be that high scoring of a matchup. I'd probably say like 23-16, maybe like 20-16, something like that.
All right. 20-16 is your score. My score is 21-19, so I think it's also going to be a bit of a close game, but we'll see how that all shakes up on Saturday here. As we move on to the next
We got the
game,
other one.
we got the first ever Peacock exclusive game that actually kicks off at 8 p.m. It is the 8-6 hot-handed Buffalo Bills, who still, if the season ended today, would not even have a playoff spot, going into LA to take on the very, very desperate, at the very brink of their season ending, the 5-9 Chargers. Thomas, take it away.
So last week, for all of you that are here that were watching last week, I said that the Buffalo Bills were going to lose to the Dallas Cowboys. And I mean, like, I stuck with that the whole week long. I've heard a lot of backlash from a lot of fans and a lot of people that I know that are Bills fans. I'll win. Anyway, the Dallas Cowboys did get throttled by Buffalo, and so I made a little bit of a promise that if Buffalo were to play and win that game, I would pick Buffalo for the rest of the season. However, the Chargers may have a little bit of new life with their head coach, so I don't think it's going to be a terrible, terrible game. But I'm still picking the Bills to win by multi-scores. I would pick 34-17, maybe 34-13. I don't even think they get that high of a score right now, because if you look at it right now, that Chargers offense with Easton Stick is not motivating me or anyone else. So give me the Buffalo Bills to win this one.
All right, I agree with you, of course. I'm also gonna go with the Bills here. We do have a similar score here. Let me pull up my score real quick. But I think this is a game Buffalo should win. You see the score, 40-17. It is a game Buffalo should win. I think they will win, as you see pretty comfortably here. The Chargers right now are just in shambles. They fired their head coach. They fired their general manager. And their defense just had an absolute collapse against the Raiders offense.
They fired 2 assistant coordinators, too, on defense. They fired a defensive backs and a linebackers coach.
Exactly.
And they were bringing in a new D-line coach, too, like I think on Tuesday.
Exactly. And you're telling me this whole new coaching staff has 1 week to stop a team that just obliterated, arguably at the time, the NFC's best team, which clearly after the Bills decimated them is not the case. It's clearly the 49ers right now. But that
There
just
you go.
shows this Bills team is trying to make a run right now. They have figured themselves out late in the season, and the Bills are trying to scamper as quick as they can to try and sneak in before it is too late. And again, like I said, the Chargers are just decimated right now. Right now with injuries, with the whole coaching staff, everything that's going on. And I think it's going to be way too much for the Chargers here to handle. I think the season is going to end against Buffalo, and Buffalo will get a much-needed win for their playoff lives.
One last thing to note here is that defensive front, they are 26th in the league in defensive rushing yards allowed per game. James Cook coming off a 200-yard performance almost.
Yeah,
So that's a big thing to note there when you look at that. I mean, even if that doesn't work, look at their pass defense with Josh Allen.
exactly. And we're going to move right into the next game here. A little bit of an interesting game here. You
If the
got
Falcons show up, it will be.
Yeah, if the Falcons show up, it'll be an interesting one, which is the case. Uh, they got the Colts at 8-6. Currently, if the season ended today, they would be the number 7 seed in the AFC. So obviously, they're still fighting for a lockdown playoff spot here. We'll see if they can get a step closer this week. Coming off a huge win against the Steelers, which I don't think a lot of people saw that was going to happen. A lot of people were 50-50 on that game against Pittsburgh last week, but the Colts just went in and obliterated the Steelers, blew them right out of the
They're
water.
down
Nobody
13
saw
nothing
that coming.
too.
Gardner Minshew was electric in that game, and going into Atlanta to face off a Colts team that is struggling right now. They just lost to a 1-win Carolina team, which was at the time the worst team in the league. Now it's an argument: is it the Panthers or is it the Chargers, and who's the worst team in the league right now? But the Falcons, they lost in such an embarrassing fashion that Desmond Ridder is done as the starter again. It is going to be Taylor Heineke who is going to get the start this week for Atlanta. So Arthur Smith and company hoping that gets the offense moving a little bit, putting Heineke in there at the helm. I think it could get this offense moving a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to be enough to overcome the Colts right now. The Colts have it figured out right now. The Colts are winning games right now. Steinscheichen, in my opinion, is making a really solid case for Coach of the Year right now. And I think the Colts just have a really hot hand right now, and the Colts are fighting for that playoffs. They're fighting for a division title right now because of Jacksonville's collapse. So I think the Colts are going to get this win here and continue to fight for that AFC South crown.
If I had to go with anyone in this game, I can't see. So like the way that you worded it is perfect here because Shane Steichen right now is honestly probably top 3 in my coach of the year voting right there with Kevin Stefanski and like maybe one other coach potentially, but I'm not going to think too hard into it right now. But I can't see Shane Steichen being out coached by Arthur Smith in a game with their playoffs like in a division title even on the line right now. That Falcons offense, I mean, Desmond Ridder was supposed to be the guy in Atlanta. He's supposed to be the guy for the rest of the year, too. And obviously, if he gets benched right after Arthur Smith promised that he would be the starter for the rest of the year, something's going terrible in Atlanta. And I think not even Taylor Heineke can really get the job done here. I think Indianapolis is going to win this one thoroughly. I don't see it being too terribly close. I feel like Indianapolis gets the job done on the road.
All right, and as you guys can see here in just a moment, I got a score of 28-20. So again, I think Heineke will get the offense moving a little bit more, but again, I don't think it's going to be enough to dethrone what the Colts got going on right now. So moving on to the next game here, it is trap game for the Packers. Who knows? It is the 6-8 Green Bay Packers traveling into Carolina to take on the already playoff eliminated 2-12 Panthers.
Give me Green Bay. Just give me Green Bay at this point. I'm not picking the Panthers to win back-to-back games. It's not happening. Matt LaFleur, coming into the month of December, coming into this season, had not lost a single game. He's lost twice now in December. I don't see that making it three times against a lowly Carolina Panthers team. They snuck past the Falcons, yeah, sure, because Atlanta's offense is just god awful to watch at this point. It's god awful in general. Desmond Ritter's not the guy. Taylor Heineke just maybe probably would have won that game, I think, handily if Heineke plays, but like the difference here right now is I think Carolina, like, they know that they're done. Like, their season's over. They know that all they can really do right now is just play for confidence for next season, just try to see what they have going forward. And so that's what really makes them dangerous for this game for me. But, like, I don't see them winning, but I don't see it being, like, a complete blowout, if that makes sense. I feel like Atlanta and Carolina was like a standard Panthers game where the offense is the problem. I think that Panthers defense is going to play good enough to keep them in the game for three quarters. But if I had to pick a game winning like team in this one, I think 17-13, I'd go with the Green Bay Packers.
All right, I'm also gonna go with the Green Bay Packers here. Uh, it's a very interesting game because the Packers last week was a team that you thought was going to beat Tampa Bay last week. I, of course, did not. I picked Tampa Bay. And the Buccaneers did win, but I don't think anyone expected them to win in the fashion that they did. The Packers' defense has collapsed mightily in that game, and their defense is in all sorts of issues right now. And there's a lot of Packers fans calling for their defensive coordinator's head right now, which isn't really a good sign, especially this late in the season. And the Packers, they did put up some points against Tampa Bay, but it wasn't like a great effort by any means against Tampa Bay in that one. And again, like you said, the Panthers, they just snuck by the Falcons in that one. Just Desmond Ridder was just keep handing the ball. Like Desmond Ridder was just giving that game away to Carolina on that one, which is why Ridder ultimately got benched in that game. But yeah, the Panthers only won by scoring 9 points. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers in this one. The Panthers' offense is still terrible, and the Packers just got a little bit more to show here. Again, like you said, I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything. I think it's going to be somewhat of a close game here. I got the Packers winning 26-14 as we're going to move right on into the next game here. Very interesting game here. We got the 10-4 Lions who could clinch the NFC North for the first time ever if they can
Literally.
defeat the Vikings here. Currently, they're in first place. Currently, they got the number 3 seed. They are one game back of the number 1 seed in the conference, which is pretty crazy. And the Vikings are fighting for their playoff lives. As you can see, the number 6 seed in the conference, 7-7. There's a lot of 7-7 teams in that NFC. So the Vikings, I would say, probably need this game more than the Lions do right now. But it's going to be an interesting game. The Lions coming off decimating the Denver Broncos on Saturday, putting up 42 points in a defense everyone thought finally turned its corner after giving up 70 to Miami. I know nobody's shutting up about that. But yeah, the Lions hung up 42 on that Broncos
Panthers still got
defense.
42. We got a problem.
Yeah, and the Broncos offense wasn't really able to get much going in that game either, which is pretty concerning. But that just goes to show the Lions came in prepared. They want to win that division, and this is their chance to do it this week against the Vikings team that gave Cincinnati a run for its money late, but of course had to choke it away as they always do in the fourth quarter, unfortunately. But Nick Mullins did look pretty good in that game against Cincinnati. Say what you want, but Nick Mullins did not play bad.
You didn't play good
But he
either.
didn't
You had
play
the two
great
picks.
either. Yeah, exactly. So, um, I think this is a game that that the Lions want a lot more than the Vikings. I think the Lions are going to get a win here against the Vikings. Let's see what my score is here. I don't remember what my score was. If we just let this play on here for a second. Yeah, I got the Lions winning this one 34-21. I think it's going to be a bit of a close game going into the second half, but I think the Lions are going to pull away in that second half. So, Thomas, do you agree with me, or do you agree to disagree in this one?
I agree to agree. I
All
don't
right.
disagree at all on this one. I think the Lions get the job done. this would be a wholesome moment for me. I've always liked the Lions. I've always had a soft spot for them. They're like my Bills. Mediocrity for like most of my life. So like to see them finally doing well and turning a corner is really important. And not to mention, this game is not the most important game for the Lions left. That Cowboys game next weekend is.
Ooh.
So in order to get ready for that Cowboys game, I feel like you have to win this game. This is a game you got to win. You're playing Nick Mullins. You just beat Russell Wilson, who's really turned it up as of late and everything. So I feel like a confidence boost here coming into this game for the Lions is inevitable. And so I think Detroit's going to lock up the division with a win here, and it's just going to keep them in the running because if they beat Dallas next week, they move up to the 2. And if San Francisco stumbles against the Ravens, we're talking about the 1-seeded Detroit Lions right now. So, like, I mean, this is such an important game because it's just to keep them in the running for that first spot. And I think that the Lions know that. I think that they're going to play their hearts out in this one, especially since this is for a division title for the first time ever. It's sad to say that it's not in front of the hometown fans for this one. That will be Week 18's game. So give me the Lions here, and I think handily.
Yeah, and talk about a confidence D-boost for the Vikings, too. They were so close to taking the rails off the Bengals, and they were so close to continuing to control their own destiny for that NFC North title, but it's looking very slim now after that loss to Cincinnati. So we're going to move right along here to the next game on the schedule, and it is a doozy. It is a big one in the AFC here. You got the 9-5 Cleveland Browns, who currently hold that number 5 seed in the AFC, but nothing is clinched for them yet, as they travel into Houston to take on the 8-6 Texans, who are fighting for their playoff lives right now in a big matchup that will not include C.J. Stroud.
Ooh. Well, we talked about this before we started this live stream, folks, and so my man's got a bold take here to go, but I guess I'll start it off here. Give me the Cleveland Browns. No funny stuff here. Give me Cleveland. Case Keenum put up 20 points against the Chicago Bears defense. That's all you need to know at this point. Like the Chicago Bears.
You said Case Keenum put up 20 points against the
Oh,
Bears.
not against the Bears. No. Joe Flacco put up 20 points against the Bears. All in all. So I think like it's just like it's weird right now. I think that they're gonna win this game. If I had to give you a score, 17-6. I just don't see Case Keenum being that guy there. Case Keenum really just I can't see him getting going against such an amazing defense. I think they're gonna have to rely on the run game like they did last week with Singletary, but you're going against the best rush defense in the NFL, and I think that's gonna show early and it's going to show often. I think they're not going to be able to get the ball down the field too often. I think the reason why this game can be 17-6 is going to be some turnovers from Flacco. I think Flacco turns the ball over at least once in this game, probably an interception. I wouldn't expect a fumble, but I think probably this game's only 17-6 because of that. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than the score is going to indicate. I think the Browns get like a late field goal to just put it away type thing. But I can't see Cleveland dropping a game like this when they're right there for the playoffs. If they win this game, they can clinch. Everything has to go right, but they can clinch with a win tonight. Like not tonight, but Sunday. So it's a big game. And if I had to pick a team to win this one, sorry, Houston fans. I love C.J. Stroud. I like the Texans. Nice feel-good story, but I think this is where it ends.
All right. So when I was
Now your
when
crazy
let me
prediction.
talk. Let me talk. When I was making my predictions yesterday, by the way, this whole slideshow thing is on my YouTube channel, Leo Meister. You can watch a whole 3-minute clip. That's all it is. You watch it and see my picks and everything. But for this game, I was thinking, well, concussions don't really last that long. They only last like a week max most of the time. So Stroud will probably be back in this game, which is my thinking before. Obviously, the news came out that CJ Stroud probably won't play. So I was thinking, I was like, Stroud was really good up until, we got that concussion against the Jets and all that stuff. So I'm like, maybe the Stroud magic will come back and we'll shake everything up and Houston will beat Cleveland and everything will continue to be chaos in the AFC. And then as the video was uploading, the news came out and broke that CJ Stroud probably won't play against the Browns, and I was like, oh crap. Well, now I feel like the Browns are gonna win, and I do feel like that. But I'm not a man to just go and change my pick because of some injury, because it's backfired on me before. I am sticking with the Houston Texans. The former Bill, Case Keenum, will get the job done against the Browns, and it's going to be a huge win for Houston. And Houston is going to basically take the form of Cincinnati's form when after they lost Burrow and they were still winning games. That's what the Houston Texans are going to be after they beat these Cleveland Browns here, and it is going to be chaos again, as I say for the 5th time here in the AFC. And give me a score here of 27-23.
Oh,
It is going to be a shootout. It is going to be a shootout with Joe Flacco, the elite quarterback, versus Case Keenum, the legend himself.
the
And the
two check
Texans
down
will
kings.
get it done against the
Oh,
Cleveland Browns. Call me crazy. I don't care. Give me the Houston Texans.
27-23 is wild. You know what? 41-38 Jets win, baby. Zach Wilson, 6 touchdowns.
Is that actually going to be your pick? Are you going to go with the Jets here, sir?
Ooh, this one's a tough one. I think that I will ride with the Jets in a sense, but like, I don't write it down. Don't write it down. Don't write it down.
Not writing it down.
This is such a difficult one
Hold
for
on, let me
me.
do my intro here so you have time to think here. It is the 4-10 Washington Commanders, a team that just got eliminated to the LA Rams last week. A team that almost made a comeback against the Rams, too. So I guess they got a little bit of life going into this game, but not really because they just got eliminated. And another team that also got eliminated was the Jets last week after getting shut out by a whopping score of 30-0 against the Miami Dolphins in Miami. A game where Zach Wilson also suffered a concussion, and his play for this week is questionable. And if Zach Wilson cannot go, it is going to be Trevor Siemian at the helm, not Aaron Rodgers, because yes, Aaron Rodgers did get activated off of IR, but I think to play him in any of these last couple of games would be crazy for them to do. So if it's not going to be Zach Wilson this week, it's going to be Trevor Siemian. So it's a battle of draft positioning here. Thomas, what do you got?
I like the Jets defense a lot against Sam Howell. I think Trevor Siemian might be able to get something going a little bit here because, I mean, the Commanders are one of the worst pass defenses in the league. So, in that sense, I guess I'm going to have to pick them to win this game. I'll pick the Jets. And I'm not happy about it. I'm not confident at all, but like 13-6, like I don't expect a lot of points in this one. If if there's anybody that can win this game, though, it's Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell is going to be the deciding factor. If Sam Howell plays a good game, I think the Jets lose this one. But I think the Jets are going to get it done. And unconvincingly in my head right now, I think 13-6 is going to be the final score.
All right. I do agree with you that Jets are going to win, but I don't even know if Sam Howell going to be playing this week? I don't know what happened to him last week. It seems like he's
Well,
going to be
Jacoby Brissett came in because he got benched. So when you think about it, Jacoby Brissett came in and played amazing, by the way.
He did, which is why I'm
Two
like thinking,
touchdowns, no
are
picks.
they going
That's
to start
why,
Sam Howell or are they going to...
yeah, that's the question here. So, like, I think it's going to come down to the quarterback play. Just in general, I think it's going to come down to which one of these two quarterbacks is going to be the better quarterback in this game because it's really the two teams are really different. You know, like you got the Commanders who have a lot more pieces on offense. They got an all right defensive front, but then the pass defense is just god awful. You look at the Jets. Jets are amazing defense. They have a couple occasional pieces, not much of an O line or anything though. So it's like kind of opposites here in this game. I think that the D line of the Commanders could very much so take over this game, but I have to ride with the Jets here. It's just a little bit of a weird game. It's another one of those games where I think this is a 50-50 coin flip. And so give me the Jets in a close one.
Yeah, again, I agree with you. I'm going to go with the Jets. A little bit more of a high-scoring game. I got 20-17 here. I just
I
feel
could
like...
see that. I could see that.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
just
like with Sam Howell, like you're gonna score some points to Sam Howell, but it's against a really tough Jets defense that did just give up 30 points to the Dolphins without Tyreek Hill. But I think the Jets will get a rebound here. I think they'll get a win here, and I think the Jets will move the ball a little bit more here on offense this week compared to weeks past. So yeah, both gonna go the Jets there. And we got a little bit of an interesting game here. We got the 7-7 Seahawks, who suddenly have found their second life. They lost 4 in a row, but then with their backup quarterback Drew Lock, shut up the Philly fans in the media and stunningly beat the Eagles, a team that is now dead, it seems, in Philadelphia, going against the Titans team that was eliminated a week ago to the Houston Texans. Just been a rough year for Tennessee here. That whole Hopkins signing in the offseason did not work out for him, as obviously you can see right here. And again, early in the season, they traded Kevin Byard. So, it's just this whole rough year. Now there's been some rumors about if Derrick Henry is going to stay with the Titans after this year. That is the thing that is floating around. Because that was a discussion a little bit last offseason, but of course, ultimately he stayed. They got Hopkins and everything. But yeah, it's going to become a lot bigger of a question this offseason compared to last offseason here. But this is going to be I think it's going to be a bit of a close game here, in my opinion. I am going to go with the Seahawks, though. They definitely found their second life last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Titans are just continuing to struggle, especially offensively here. They're just struggling to put up points on the board. And losing to the Case Keenum Texans is just not a good look for any team right now. So give me the Seahawks here. They found their second life, and I think they're going to continue to fight for that playoff spot here down the stretch.
I agree. I agree a lot. I think that the Titans. Well, I think this game's going to be a really good game because the Titans are a couple overtime losses away from being 7-7 too right now. So, like, if you really think about it, they're not that far apart from each other. I mean, the Eagles are coming off Seahawks are coming off an impressive win against the Eagles, and the Titans are coming off a lowly loss to a Houston team with their backup quarterback, arguably their third string. I mean, Davis Mills is probably better than Keenum, but I mean, veteran leadership, I guess. Either way, I think the Seahawks get the job done in this one as well. I think 23-17 sounds about right. Maybe a little bit higher scoring game on the Seahawks end. I don't trust that Titans defense to get it done, and I think Will Levis is up in the air with a high ankle sprain, so I think that this is going to be a really, really, really big game for Malik Willis if he comes in, and if Malik Willis plays, I don't think there's a chance in hell that the Seahawks lose. Seattle's finding their stride right when they need to, and I think to keep themselves in this playoff hunt, they got to win this game, and they're going to come out and do just that.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that too. If Will Levis cannot play due to his concussion, I believe it was, it's going to be Ryan Tannehill starting here for the Titans. And as you can
It
see,
is a high ankle sprain.
high ankle sprain. Okay. Um, but yeah, you can see my score here on the screen here. I got 23-21. Give me Seattle. Again, I think it's going to be a lot closer of a game than people expected. Titans play teams hard. So we're going to move right along here to the next game on the schedule, which will be the first afternoon game of the week.
Oh my
And it's
gosh.
a doozy. I'll talk about this one first here. It is the 8-6 Jaguars, who are holding for dear life onto the AFC South crown for as long as they can. They got the number 4 seed in the AFC right now. Nothing clinched for either of these teams. Going against Tampa Bay, who is on a roll right now. Just went into Lambeau and slapped up that Packers defense. Put up 35 on the board in Lambeau. And they currently hold the number 4 seed in first place. Tied for first place in the NFC South here with the Saints. So, looking at this game here, let's start with Tampa Bay. Their offense was incredible last week. Baker Mayfield, the first quarterback to ever go into Lambeau and put up a perfect passer rating, which is insane considering Lambeau Field is literally the oldest stadium in the NFL right now. It's been standing like since the beginning of time over there.
Patrick Mahomes has played there twice too.
He has, that's true. And think about all the legends that have played there too. Like Tom Brady's played there. We had obviously Aaron Rodgers has always played there. Peyton Manning. Just think of all the legends that have been there. Nobody's been able to put up a perfect passer rating, but Baker Mayfield has. And the Buccaneers are on a roll right now. Their defense is starting to play a little bit better here as the weeks go on here. And the Jaguars, man, they had everything in their hands. They were fighting for that 1 seed, and they have just collapsed here late. We don't even know if Trevor Lawrence is going to be playing due to his concussion. If he does not play, it's going to be C.J. Beathard who plays for the Jaguars, which sound the alarms in
Wow.
Duval if that happens. Oh, my gosh. And the Jaguars only able to put 7 points, but it is Baltimore's defense. But you still, with
That's
how the
one of the
Jaguars are,
best.
you got to put them more than 7 points, especially in a game like that at home on prime time. You got to put them more than
Well,
seven
you
points.
gotta point out the two missed field goals though.
Yeah, that's true, but
The two missed field goals, yeah.
the Jaguars, they still couldn't get down the field and finish those drives in that game, which is huge. And the
Yeah.
Jaguars' defense, I thought, did play a bit of a better game than they have in weeks past, but it still wasn't enough. They still lost another game here as the Jaguars are struggling to figure out what is going on right now with their team. And this is a really interesting game. It's a big game for both teams. If Tampa loses it, there's a chance they might lose the division for the time being to the Saints. And if the Jaguars lose, they might lose to the division to the Colts or the Texans. And the Jaguars could potentially find themselves not even with a playoff spot after this week, which is insane. Um, so, yeah, obviously, huge game for both teams. But I think I'm going to go with the hot hand here. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Jacksonville Jaguars in a big game here in the late window. Thomas?
This is gonna be a good game. This is gonna be a good game. Hello?
Hello? Can you
Oh, I'm so confused.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
You like? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I just did like my regular pause
Oh,
thing. You weren't
so
saying anything.
oh well, my thing was loading. I don't know. It was like lagging, I think.
Oh.
But Jags Bucks in this game, regardless. Jags Bucks. I think the Jags are lagging like my internet is right now. So like, the Jags are doing what the Jags are doing what the Titans did last season, where the Titans had the division locked up, and then the Jags came and stole it. I think the Jags are doing the exact same freaking thing right now, and I think it's just kind of a curse at this point. But with how Baker Mayfield's playing, I've hicked against Baker Mayfield each time we've done the podcast so far. I picked the Falcons, and now I picked the Packers.
That's true.
They've lost both games. I think that I think I'm picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game.
Oh.
I can't bet against Baker Mayfield after last week. This is going to be a really good game. Don't get me wrong. I hope Lawrence plays because it'll be that much better if he does. It's just this is a game where both teams need it. The Bucks a little bit less so, I think. I mean, the AFC's so crowded, but like the Jets, not the Jets, the Jags. I mean, the Jags are really fighting hard for their playoff spot. And after last week against the Ravens, I think that this game is pretty much their only way out. And I think that Tampa Bay is going to shut the door really quickly. I think Tampa Bay is going to win in some way, somehow. After an 8-3 start, the Jags are going to fall to 8-7.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think about. I'm feeling for Jaguars fans everywhere right now. It's got to be tough out there in Florida right now with their gorgeous weather and
Out there
everything.
in Duval,
Yeah. My score prediction here
and
for
their
this game,
Hurricanes.
30-23. So obviously you can see I believe Baker Mayfield's gonna continue to heat it up against
I'm
the
not
Eagles.
even lying. I would have picked 31-24.
Really? Wow. Two great
That
minds
was my
think
score
alike, don't you
prediction.
think?
So you're literally,
Anyways, next
yeah,
game here.
literally.
We got the legendary Tank Bowl on our hands,
Oh
ladies and
my
gentlemen.
god.
We got the 3-11 Cardinals already eliminated from the playoffs, taking on the 5-9 Bears, who actually, believe it or not, are not eliminated from the playoffs yet. They are still fighting for that playoff spot late in the season. They are still alive.
They
And
have tiebreakers over too because of them beating the Lions. And the Lions are really good this year, so they have the tiebreaker in a couple senses with like
wow, look at
winning
that.
strength
So,
of the schedule. So yeah, it's interesting.
yeah,
I, I mean, like this is just kind of like one of those games. I feel like if I'm being honest, they should make it a rule where if you suck this bad, you should have to play your backups. Like both of them should have to play their backups. Throw in Tyson Bagent, throw in Clayton Tune, and let's get this shit on the road because
let's
I
go.
think this I think this game is just gonna be another one of these ones where it's like, why do they have it in the late window? Like, please, just take it out. But Give me the Bears, I guess, man. Give me the Bears. They're kind of flying high right now. I mean, they almost beat the Browns last week, who we know the Browns are so good this year. Outside of quarterback, everything else has been amazing. If you look elsewhere too, they beat the Lions. They've played the Lions hard in the first game. They beat the Lions in the second one. I feel like the Bears are just kind of finding their groove here late. I feel like this is just kind of where Justin Fields picked it up last year as well. So give me the Bears to win this one, and I don't think too bad of a score, but I think 27 to like 17, maybe something like that sounds about right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm also going to go with the Bears for this game. Looking last week at how the Cardinals performed against the Niners, it's been the case how a lot of teams have been performing against the 49ers this week, which has been not well. The Niners just blew them right out of the water, as many expected. Cardinals offense wasn't able really to get much going, but the Niners offense was able to get a lot going against that Cardinals defense.
To be fair, they scored more points than both the Eagles and Cowboys against the
That's
49ers.
true. That's true.
So like,
But
damn, the Cardinals came out and played a game.
yeah, they did. Only losing by like what 20. That's a win right
Six.
there.
I mean, 29 points though against that good of a defense is pretty nice, but
I
still,
mean, yeah, but still another big loss there
I
for
mean,
the.
a loss is a loss, man. A loss is a loss. So
Yeah, it's true. And the Bears, it seems like they got something figured out here because they dismantled the Lions a couple weeks ago on Thanksgiving, and then last week here, you could have made an argument that they should have beat the Browns. They played well enough to beat the Browns. That ball was in Mooney's hands, and he was just like,
oh,
I don't want to win. I'll just give it to you. And they let the
he literally
Browns.
just kicks it into the
I
air.
know,
Like,
and they
what
let
are
the
you
Browns
doing?
run away with that game. Man, that's devastating if you're a Bears fan. And but yeah, I'm still gonna go with the Bears here. I
Classic
think the Bears have
Chicago
been playing
Bears.
winning football these past couple weeks, and I think the winning football will continue. And I think the Bears will get a win here against the Cardinals in this one with a score of. Let's let it go through here. 24-21. I didn't think it was going to be a bit of a
24-21.
closer game. I think the
I
Cardinals
think
are
that's
trending a little bit in
that's
the
it.
direction of winning football. Maybe, maybe. But like you said, the Cardinals did put up a couple points there against the 49ers. But at the end of the day, I think the Bears are still going to get the win there against the Cardinals. As we're going to move right along here to the next game. It's the Fraud Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. We have made it. It is the playoff clinched. Yes, the Cowboys have clinched a spot, and they have punched their ticket to the postseason yet again. They are 10-4 right now, first in their division with the number 2 seed currently in the NFC. So they're still battling for that 1 seed. They're still battling for the division here with Philadelphia here late in the season. Um, but it's crazy, like all these things. Cowboys get the division back. They clinch a playoff spot. They hold Allen to under 100 yards passing. Gotta think it's a pretty good week for Dallas, but no, it wasn't. They still lost by 21 to Buffalo in Orchard Park there. So a pretty weird week for the
You were
Cowboys.
there, buddy.
But I guess it's still more of a win for the Cowboys because they still got first place back and a playoff spot, and they didn't even do anything to get it. And the Dolphins here are still fighting for a playoff spot here late. Currently, they got the number 2 seed in the AFC, still first place. But the way I look at this game, which one is going to break? Is it going to be the Cowboys sucking on the road? The Cowboys, are they finally going to put together a good game on the road and win? Or we look at the other side, are the Dolphins finally going to beat a team with a winning record? Which one is going which one's going to break? And the way I look at it is we all know the Dolphins have not beaten a team with a winning record this year. But we do know that the Cowboys have at least won on the road before. Even though it hasn't been pretty, they have won on the road before. And with that, that's really the big difference I'm looking at for this game. So I think the Cowboys, I think they're going to come in mad, upset that they lost to the Bills the way that they did. And I think the Dolphins are going to come in maybe a little cocky after blowing out the Jets 30-0 even without Tyreek Hill. And I think the Cowboys are going to get a huge win in this game with the score of here 31-27. I think it's going to be a great game. And I think the Cowboys are going to get the win in this game here today. But Thomas, do you agree with me or do you disagree?
I agree. I think that the Dallas Cowboys play really well on home, like at home. of course, that's the big thing. Is like Dallas is only a good team at home. That's not entirely true. If you look at their games they've lost on the road, they've lost to the Bills in pretty bad conditions. They've lost to the Eagles, which was a windy game and it was pretty cold outside. They don't do well in the cold, rainy situations, but they still do well when they're on the road, just when they're playing in the nice, warmer states. And you see where I'm getting at. They're playing in Miami.
Yep.
Miami, it's not going to be that bad of a game for them. It's not going to be like the weather's terrible. As long as it doesn't rain, which is the only real outside chance of anything bad happening for Dallas here, I think the Dallas Cowboys get the job done on the road. If you look at the Dolphins, I've been saying it all season long, they're frauds. They have not beaten any really good teams. They've been slapped around by the Bills, slapped around by the Chiefs, slapped around by the Eagles, and now it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys who do the slapping. Dallas is going to come in mad, like you said, off that loss to Buffalo. Dolphins beat up on another lowly New York Jets team. They beat them up even more than they did the first time. And I think that this one is just going to prove to everyone else out there that the Dallas Cowboys can still compete. And I think even with that being on the road.
All right, so we're both going to actually agree with that one here and go with the Dallas Cowboys as we're going to move on here to the next game. Ugh, it is. I've been watching Good Morning Football the past couple days. I want to try and keep up with their show. I really like their show on NFL Network on the mornings, but they keep advertising this game. It's like light up the night with the Patriots and the Broncos on Christmas Eve night, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, you realize people would rather probably spend time with their family than watch this game, right? Like, I think NBC was like, oh, God, the game's so bad. NFL Network, you can have it. We don't even want it. It's that bad. But it's 3-11 New England Patriots tanking probably at this point for a higher draft pick, going up against the 7-7 Denver Broncos that even though they had their crushing loss against the Detroit Lions, they are still fighting for a playoff spot. Thomas, we'll start with you on this one.
This is going to be another one of those games that I'm not going to be too happy with. I'm a bigger offensive guy than I am defensive guy, which is ironic because I played defense for high school and hockey, but that's a lot different. I think for football, I like to see the points up on the board. I love to watch the offenses go to work, and it's just so fun to watch them meticulate down the field and drive down the field. I like the different schemes. This is not going to be one of those games. It's not going to be that fun of a game. I think that this is going to be low scoring. You got two really good defenses. The Broncos coming off like probably third worst performance of the season. Of course, the 70-point game is probably their worst. Duh. But really, I don't see this game being I don't see this game being all that close in the regards to like overall game. I think that the Broncos are going to win this one 17-3. And so I think Denver's just going to have this wrapped up by probably late third quarter, early fourth quarter. And I think that Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones, I don't know who's playing. I don't care. It's just they're not going to get the offense going. They're playing up against the Broncos team who's looking to bounce back after a tough loss to Detroit. And I think the Broncos keep their playoff hopes alive with a victory at home.
All right, I agree with you. I'm also going to go with the Denver Broncos here. As you can see, a score of 24-13. I think the Broncos offense will get back on track this week. They did have a rough one against the Detroit Lions. But, I think I trust the Broncos a little bit more now after seeing them be pretty consistent for this whole second half of the season here. And considering the Patriots have just shown nothing. They showed something against the Steelers, but the Steelers have been really struggling as of late right now.
That Chiefs game, too.
Yeah, the Chiefs game, too. And the game they had against the Bills, too. The Broncos won that one, too. Even though I think you're talking about a different game. I think you're talking about the Patriots game last week. But nonetheless, I think the Broncos defense will definitely rebound. I mean, how can you not rebound against an offense like New England's right now? And I think the offense will be I think it'll be pretty efficient. I don't think it'll be like anything great from their offense, but I think it'll be definitely efficient enough to put up 24 points in this one. And I'm also going to go with the Denver Broncos to win this game, as we're going to move on here to the Christmas triple header. There's 3 games on Christmas. I'm glad the Bills game is not one of them because I want to spend time with my family. But we got the 6-8 Las Vegas Raiders who are still fighting for a playoff spot here late in the year, going against the current 3 seed in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that will actually clinch the AFC West for however many straight years it's been now, with a win here on Monday. And I think the Chiefs will get the job done, even though the Raiders, I feel like we deserve to talk about them a little bit here because they put up 63 points last week.
6-3.
But let's be
That's a
honest, it
lot.
was against the Chargers defense, which is already one of the worst in the league, and it was against a Brandon Staley coached defense, nonetheless. And I think that was probably a fluke. I mean, obviously it was 63 points, but I think that's a little bit of a fluke game there from the Raiders, especially in offense there. I do think, however, it might be a little bit of a closer game because Kadarius Toney's keep costing this team a lot of games here. But I think the offense will still move the ball. I think they will score points, especially if Isaiah Pacheco comes back, which it's looking like he will come back for this game. I think the Chiefs will be able to run the ball efficiently. I think they'll be able to pound and ground the football in this one. I think they'll be able to make plays through the air when they need to. I do think the Raiders are going to score some points here, a little bit more than the Patriots did against them last week, but I think the Chiefs are going to pull away from this game late here, and I think they are going to get the much-needed win that the Chiefs need here against the Raiders here on Monday afternoon.
Merry Christmas, Kansas City. I think you got the division on lock after this week. I think you're going to get the job done. And as much as that pains me to say, because, I mean, really, they got a cupcake schedule down the rest of the way. I mean, the Bengals could be an issue, but the Chargers, let's be real here. And then the Raiders right now. I mean, it's not like Aiden O'Connell's the next Tom Brady. He put up 63 points. It was against the Chargers. It's not the best win in the world. So, I mean, right now, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are just that team to beat in the AFC West by far. And so I think this is the game that just lock it up right here. I think this is one that they really need to have at this point. Like, they need to find a little bit of a groove. And if I had to guess, I think Kansas City finally finds it at home on Christmas. 42-17 is my prediction. I think Kansas City Chiefs offense finally gets going and shows like, hey, we can be dangerous. So Merry Christmas, Kansas City. Your offense does the best they've done. Maybe Kadarius Toney catches a few presents for you. So not.
Well, that is a bold prediction. I'd like to see you bet on that. But yeah, moving on here to the next game here on the slate. It is the 4:30 game here on Fox.
Oh my God, I forgot about this one.
The Tommy DeVito Giants are back, baby! And they're going to face the Eagles in Philadelphia for the first time, even though the Giants' offense was really not good at all against the Saints. But Saquon Barkley had a nice catch last week. Did you see that catch he had? Yeah, it was a really nice catch. Yeah, even though they still only scored 6 points. And I did feel like the defense played okay. They gave up 24 points to the Saints. Obviously, it wasn't a great performance by the defense by any means, but it wasn't necessarily awful.
Like sold by the offense.
What's up?
Said more so sold by the offense.
Yeah, I'd say so. The Eagles here, they're another team that kind of didn't do anything but still got rewarded last week. They lost to the Seattle, which was crazy, and they clinched a playoff spot. So good, bad, who knows? They did lose the division for now to Dallas, which is a big bad. But this is so we need to have a talk with Philadelphia right now because they were steamrolling teams. They were 10-1, looking like the best team in the league, and then they dropped 3 straight. And now what all the media has been talking about as of late, especially yesterday, was Jalen Hurts' comment on commitment issues. Jalen Hurts said he felt like the team had commitment issues, and he felt like something needed to change in the team to get that motivation back to win these games. And I kind of feel for the Eagles a little bit here because I feel like as a Bills fan, we were in that situation for a while where it felt like we just had no motivation and we were just scraping by these teams, still not looking like ourselves and even losing a bunch of games, especially in the first half of the year. And I feel for the Eagles here, but it's a situation like it's not the end of the world. Like if they lose these next 3 games, they got a playoff spot regardless if they win their division or not. They are going to be in the dance here come January. But if you got to think, if this is their 3-week period for the Eagles to fix whatever's been going wrong before the playoffs start. Because if they don't fix these issues, because they got the Giants twice and the Cardinals, if you can't fix what your issue is by the time the playoffs start, that is an issue. But if you, in these next 3 games, if you can figure out what has been wrong and get back to your old form before the playoffs start, you'll be fine. But if you cannot figure out what is going on by the time the playoffs start, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. But I'm gonna go with the Eagles here in this one. Let me pop up the score here for you guys. I got the Eagles winning this one, 31-21. So I do see the Eagles on offense anyway, getting back on track a little bit here. But you see that 21 points here. I think Tommy DeVito might give that defense a little run for its money here. I think the Eagles defense will struggle a little bit here. So I feel like they're going to start making progress toward their solution, but I don't think they're going to be all the way there yet. But yeah, give me the Eagles here to win this one.
I agree as well. I think this is the week that the Eagles have to get right. As you said, they have 3 easy games down the stretch, Giants twice, Cardinals in the middle. You really have to win this game against the New York Giants, and I feel like they're going to do that. I feel like this is a game that the offense gets back in track. I feel like the defense is still a little woozy. I liked your score prediction 31-21. I have 31-17. Just like I just come up with them on the fly, but like I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, let me see his score prediction, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so similar. It's so weird to think about, and I feel like this game is important for the Eagles more than ever right now because like really their last 4 games in a row that defense has looked god awful. Their defense has been a big issue. The penalties, the commitment issues now for Jalen Hurts and that team. And I mean, some people blame injuries. I don't blame injuries. I think the Eagles really need to get this game going, and I think that this is the week that they finally get it right, and on Christmas nonetheless.
All right, so we're both going with Philly here. Moving on, I'll have you talk about this game first. It is
All
a
right, guys.
whopper of a game. It is a whopper of a game. Potentially a Super Bowl preview. Let's hope to God not. This game is actually on ABC. It is not on ESPN, even though it's still going to have the whole ESPN graphics and everything. It is the playoff clinched current number 1 seed in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens, going into San Francisco to take on the current number 1 seed in the NFC and NFC West champions. Yes, they already won their division. The San Francisco 49ers.
This is the game of the year, and I mean that in every way I can possibly say it. This is the game of the year. These are the 2 best teams in the in the league right
In
now.
the foot right now.
So in football is what I was going to say, but in the league right now, these are the 2 best teams. And in my opinion, the 49ers are the very best team in the league, and they will be the team I pick to win this football game.
All
I
right.
think that right now the San Francisco 49ers are just that team that when they're healthy, no one is beating. No one is beating the 49ers when they're healthy. All 3 of their losses are with at least 2 or more pieces missing in those games. Their game against the Browns, McCaffrey exited, so did Trent Williams. They come back, and all of a sudden the team's perfect. They're blowing through the Cowboys. They're blowing through the Eagles. They've been blowing through everybody in the league, and it's just like at this point, I don't know a defense that can stop them, but I think Jim Harbaugh's unit will be able to, for the most part. Give me 27-20. I think in the end, I think the Ravens going to keep this close. The Ravens are an amazing football team. All these Baltimore Ravens fans watching, I know you're an amazing football team. You got that winning mentality right now. You got an amazing head coach. I think that everything is in line for you guys to make a deep playoff run, but you play the San Francisco 49ers. Shit's about to get real, pardon my language. And this is the game of the week, game of the year. And I think that this is going to show really early on that this is going to be the best game.
All right. Do you got a score for us, or do you want to wait and see my score
Twenty-seven
first?
twenty. 27-20, I said.
27-20. All right. Um, I am going to have to talk about this one before I give you my reveal here. But the Ravens coming off a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars here. Their defense played phenomenal against the Jaguars' offense, even though the Jaguars' offense is kind of in some disarray right now. And Lamar Jackson, because I've been kind of in my head, I've been doubting the Ravens' offense a little bit here, but they're still winning all these games. And when their offense needs to put up a bunch of points, they've been putting up a bunch of points. And when I was watching the game, I think it was a Sunday night game against Jacksonville. When I was watching that game, Lamar Jackson looked like how he did in 2019 when he won MVP. When he running around the pocket, nobody can tackle him, and then he makes some throw that should be intercepted, but it's caught nonetheless. Like that one pass he threw to Isaiah Likely was just unbelievable. And it's so interesting to see, but it is such a tough game to pick. But the team that has the insane hot hand right now is the San Francisco 49ers. 28-20 is my pick. So
Oh my God.
Was that the same score? Was that 1 point?
Oh my Lord.
But yeah, I got the
I
Niners.
said 27,
27.
so no. But,
Yeah, this is going to be a game.
wow.
I think the Ravens offense is not going to keep up with the 49ers offense. I think the Ravens defense will hold the 49ers offense to under 30, but they're still going to score 28. And the Ravens, most of the time,
The fact that we're saying hold them is crazy. The fact that we're saying hold them to 28 points is crazy. That just shows you how good the 49ers are.
It does.
And you said he's playing like 2019 Lamar Jackson did. In 2019, Lamar Jackson played the 49ers, and you know what the score was? 20-17, Ravens won. I think the Ravens have a chance in this game, but I can't. In my head, I feel like I'm not going to be surprised if the Ravens win this football game. Like, if we come back next week and the Ravens are winners, I think that's okay. But I'm saying I think I can't ride against the Niners.
Yeah, it's going to be a really great game all around. And
great week of football.
Normally, like, when the Ravens need to score points, they do. But I don't feel like in this game. I feel like the Niners' defense, I feel like, is giving up a couple points here and there. Like the Cardinals, they gave up, 21, 22 points. But I think they'll have a lot better of a performance here against the Ravens. And like I kind of
29.
mentioned earlier, how I felt like I didn't fully trust the Ravens' offense. Then I saw Lamar Jackson played. I feel like I still don't entirely trust the offense. Like, I have no reason not to trust their offense. I really don't. But something is just telling me I can't fully trust the offense. And again, like I said, I don't know what it is, but I just can't for whatever reason. But yeah, we're both going to go with the 49ers here in this one. And I would like to thank everyone for watching this podcast here. Anyone who watches it live on X, anyone who watches it on my YouTube, because I'm recording this, it's going to be on YouTube. But if you guys want to follow me on Twitter right here on X, you guys can. On YouTube,
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy Hanukkah.
Everybody.
All that. Have a good freaking Christmas, man. Hope you get everything you want. All that stuff.
Yep. Anything you want to plug down there?
Yeah. Hashtag Buffalo Sports.
For Buff State?
Yes.
All right, you go ahead. You go and plug the school stuff. I'm not going to do that. But again, I hope everyone enjoyed the podcast this week. We plan to do this again next week, roughly same time.
Yeah, we can do it Wednesday too. I'm down for Wednesday. Everybody,
my work schedule plays out though, but yeah,
Merry Christmas. Hopefully the Bills catch one of these this week.
Oh yeah, big fat juicy one of these this week.
Big fat one of these. Jameis Winston meme.
Gotta eat those W's, man. But we gotta save our W's for the playoffs, like really. But yeah,
yes.
I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And yeah, I guess we'll see you next week. So as I say, life forms out.